What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the number one scumbag, Rex Ruger. That's R-E-triple-the-X. You might also know me as AKA the Son of Glam, AKA the King of Sleaze, AKA, most importantly, Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. That's right. Take a look. You know, search your soul that you were looking at the Son of Glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams. I got a million fans. I'm your ice cream man. Mr. Wop Boppa Doo Boppa Wop Bam Bam. Shazam. Hot damn. We're here with another kick-ass episode of Pod Scum. We're going to be chopping it up with a certified death metal G right here, man. I don't even know what the hell that even means, but it sounded fucking cool. He's here now. Let's let him in, man. And get down to it and chop it up. I'm pumped. Let's go. Ray, what's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
First of all, full disclosure, man. I've had a running case of litigation going on here for quite some time, trying to convince the world that I am David Lee Roth Jr., man. So that explains the hair right there, I hope.
Dude, fuck yeah, that rules.
The dozer of it just reeks of sadness. But anyway, first of all, I got to say, man, could there possibly be a more death metal name than 200 Stab Wounds? Seems like overkill, but if you want to get the job done and do something right, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the only ones I can think of are like Cannibal Corpse and Devourment. Those are pretty fucking.
Yeah, those are
pretty
hardcore
themselves.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty good name, I gotta say.
Now, so how do you end up in the band? Because you're fairly new to the band, right? 2023?
Yeah, it's about been almost exactly a year to the date that I've been in the band. I joined because the way I met these guys is through the Creeping Death tour that they did with Tribal Gaze, Spirit World, and Ingrown, and there was another band on there, or Vomit Forth, who did a couple days. There's another band on there, I can't remember their name, I feel bad about that, but I filled in on bass for Tribal Gaze for most of that tour because their bass player had to go back and work, and I was the only person they knew that really had a passport.
Yeah.
So
that helps.
Yeah, definitely. So I met them, and then me and Steve just like kind of hung out pretty much almost every day, and we got along super well with Owen and Ezra as well. And then they were looking for a guitar player and hit me up, and I had nothing going on with any of my other bands, so I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." So here I am.
And it seems like when it seems like when you're an athlete or you're a musician, you always kind of have those guys growing up that you put up on a pedestal. You know what I mean? Who are your guitar heroes?
Well, being from Texas, Dimebag, of course.
Yeah, he's got to be a big one. Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, always. I mean, Alan Holdsworth, rest in peace as well.
Yeah.
Marty Friedman, Guthrie Govan for like a big period. Well, not a big period, but like when I was in high school, I was really into him, like trying to do jazz fusion, but man, that shit was way too hard, and I'm too fucking stupid to figure that shit out. So I just enjoy the music at this point. Yeah, I mean, oh man, I know I'm forgetting some other ones, but yeah, just anybody that was really fucking good and that not only was a good solo player, but that also could like play riffs too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many players that like they can do all this crazy shit on guitar, but like the rest of the song fucking sucks. And like for the most part, people aren't listening to a song for a fucking solo. You know what I mean?
Right. So I take it you're more of a riff guy then.
Yeah, I love riffs. I mean, like honestly, when I'm writing a song, if it's something that I'm 100% involved with, I'm not gonna just put a solo in there just because I want to like fucking jerk off and like show everybody what I can do. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just like if the song doesn't require a solo, then why put one in there? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's always been like a big thing for me.
Now, since extreme music is such an acquired taste, how do you find your way to it? Like, what were like some of the gateway bands that got you to it? Obviously, Pantera is probably going to be a pretty big one.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much went from back in the day, like when you used to have like cable and you used to have like video on demand and shit. Like, I would go and just find the ones that said metal and shit.
Yeah.
And I found like Slipknot, Metallica, found Black Sabbath that way, and then from there I went Pantera, and then I went to Cannibal Corpse, Dying Fetus.
Yeah.
Just the name when I was a kid, I was like, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah. Fucking
Um,
nothing you're gonna hear at a wedding, kids.
yeah, right. I mean, and then just from there, just kept growing and growing. I actually had a friend when I was in elementary school who lived in the apartment complex I lived in, and he wanted to start like a grindcore band, and so he put me on to like all these crazy bands. Like he showed me Pig Destroyer, Napalm Death, um, just a bunch of crazy shit that I'd go on to just like love and
Yeah.
try to emulate myself.
So now that you're on board here, so this will be your first actual album here with the band. And, forgive me for not knowing this, Apple Music didn't have it on there. You've got 2 songs out right now, Hands of Eternity, Ride the Flatline. But the album itself will be dropping when? The full album?
June 28th.
June 28th. And so what was the creative process like? Is it very democratic? Does somebody come in with the lion's share of the ideas? What was the process like for this album?
The way we operate, I mean, I joined a little bit after the album was kind of done.
Okay.
But the way that Steve operates, I know he likes to do everything like whoever's got the fast hand, and
Yeah.
he's more than like willing to collaborate with the rest of the band. Because the way it works is most of the time he just has everything ready to go for the last 2 albums. So he has a big part of that, and then Ezra does like a lot of a big part of the vocals as well, and the art and all that, and a lot of like they like to experiment with like synth and stuff when they have the opportunity, and that's where we get like those cool like interludes and stuff is from them just fucking around experimenting with shit.
Yeah. Now I'm glad you brought that up because, and of course, there's certainly, and I think in all genres of music, but the metal world, of course, man. Anytime you put out any new material and anything changes, out come the metal snobs. So I'm already seeing it on YouTube where the new vocals suck. This is not what they sounded like on the first album. Why are they changing their sound? But I'm listening to these 2 tracks and I'm not hearing a drastic departure from the first album.
Right, I totally disagree with all that.
What the fuck are people hearing?
I mean, if anything, I think he's just developed his voice more.
Yeah.
And kind of defining it more.
Yeah.
I think what people are saying that the vocals have changed is instead of there just being like 100% lows, he's also throwing in some mids, some highs.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Having some, like a range in the vocals and just not keeping it like monotonous and keeping it interesting.
Right.
And I love it what he's been doing. So fuck him.
I'll fucking yeah. Obviously, it's such a weird dichotomy because when you're punching up the same product over and over again, people are always saying, "Oh, this is the same damn album. These guys don't try anything different." And then the minute you try something different, everybody's fucking busting your balls about it.
Yeah, you can never win.
You can't win for losing. You can't.
No, you really can't.
Yeah, there's no fucking point in even trying. You just throw up your hands and say, "What the fuck?" We're not going to please everybody all the time.
I mean, I've heard people didn't like Ride the Lightning when it came out. So I mean, look at it now. So fuck it.
They had a dreaded. They had a ballad on there.
Yeah,
the dreaded ballad. You guys aren't close to a ballad now, are you?
No, I wouldn't say so.
and as so I got to ask you, obviously you play extreme metal, but is there something off stage that you listen to in your leisure time as a fan that maybe people would be surprised that you would listen to?
Oh man, I listen to everything. A lot of the time in the van, we'll listen to like old country. Me and Ezra love like shoegaze and like post punk and stuff like that.
Okay.
And like
I don't want you to confess anything that's where you're going to get your metal card pulled or anything. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, hey, like I can name probably more brutal bands than anybody. So it doesn't.
You're not going to get it pulled then. Yeah, you're good. You're good. There's not going to be no Justin Bieber confessions or anything like that.
Right.
On here, right?
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that. Yeah. Nothing too unforgivable.
And so you also did a stint in Frozen Soul too.
Yeah, I did. So I didn't actually write anything or play on any of the albums or the demo or anything, but I was in the band pretty much since their after their first show. They used to have so Daniel Schmuck, who did a lot of the early recordings and also the first album, and I'm pretty sure he had stuff to do with the other album as well. But he was actually the original guitar player before me, and he just didn't really want to like do tours and stuff like that. So they asked me because I was filling in on bass for End Times. So me playing bass in these bands keeps getting me in these other bands. But yeah, I was in there for about a year or two, I think. And then yeah.
So you're pretty adept at pulling double duty with either one then. You feel just as comfortable on a bass as you do on a guitar?
Yeah, I mean, actually, funny enough, I technically started on bass, but as I learned to play, I was like, oh well, all the parts that I like in the song are guitar.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna play guitar instead. And my dad
Yeah.
plays guitar, so it was easier to have quality guitars than just like the beginner starter bass that I had at home. You know what I mean?
Now, so you sound like you grew up around music then. So how early do you know that, hey, like this is a career path that I possibly want to choose? And did anybody try to deter you? Because obviously being an artist, sometimes, you get parents who say, come on, let's get something to fall back on here,
Yeah, right. I mean, I'd say from as early as I can remember is like I wanted to play music. I didn't know if I necessarily like realized that it could be a career until maybe like later in life. But yeah, I mean, as far as support goes, like my parents have always been supportive. The only thing they maybe haven't like or originally they weren't supportive of maybe like the heavier type of music.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were like, well, why don't you try like something like this a little bit more marketable? And I was like, oh, fuck that. I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
personally couldn't see myself playing anything like that, and I don't really even listen to anything like that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't bring anything to that world that would be something I could be proud of.
Your heart's got to be
Where,
into what you're playing. Your heart's got to
right,
be into it.
right. And then the more my dad like would be like, whoa, well, these guitar players are really like fucking good. I'm like, yeah, it's better than like whatever this fucking jerk off's doing. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he eventually came around, and my mom has always just been supportive of whatever. She like, she's got a pretty like wide, musical taste. She's more probably where I get my openness to like musical genres than my dad. My dad's pretty set in his ways on what he likes.
Now you've obviously probably brushed up against like you were mentioning earlier that you could name a lot of brutal bands. You probably have brushed up against a lot of them. People that you've listened to and been a fan of. Has there been anybody that you've come across with or met in your travels where you particularly have been awestruck as a fan and kind of been like, holy shit, I can't believe in the extreme metal world?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like meeting Glenn Benton recently was like super fucking cool.
Yeah.
The first time I ever met the dudes from Devourment was like pretty like sick, being because they're from Dallas as well.
Yeah.
And then I like ended up hanging out with them because my friend had known them, and then I ended up becoming friends with Chris, who used to be the guitar player. And then honestly, this last tour we did with Dying Fetus was like honestly like a dream come true, dude. Like I said, I've been listening to them since I was in like probably sixth grade.
Yeah.
And to watch them, and they played like the first song I ever heard them play, which is like something I guess they don't necessarily play every tour, but I was like very like blown away and just kind of like sitting there being like, holy shit, this is like my fucking life. And especially like Black Dahlia Murder too. That was another band that really got me into
Yeah.
playing like more difficult stuff. So doing like some runs with them and stuff has been really, really fucking cool.
I got a friend of mine who I went to high school with and have known since I was a kid. He lives down in North Carolina, and he's in a fantastic thrashy death, a very heavy thrash band down in North Carolina. Shout out Outlier, great band. But he forged over the years a fantastic friendship with Corpse Grinder.
That's fucking awesome.
Like a legitimate friendship. Like he comes into town and stays with them and stuff, and they FaceTime all the time and drink while they're FaceTiming and
That's
really shoot
awesome.
the shit. Yeah, I mean, it's like a bona fide legitimate friendship, man, with a guy who's in probably like one of the biggest, especially album sales wise. It's not always a huge like economical advantage to be in a death metal band. Sometimes, I mean, it's not like you're swimming in money. You're not like
right.
You're not Nickelback.
yeah, I'm living with my fucking dad right now. So
yeah. But are you able to support yourself just off of music, or do you, like a lot of musicians, have to have a day job?
Yeah, I mean, I still have to work here and there.
Yeah.
Like it is hard to like keep a job just because I mean like for instance, for us, we tour a fuck ton.
Yeah.
And we were pretty much never home
Yeah.
for most of the year even. So, a lot of jobs aren't like too open to being like, oh, you're here for 2 weeks and then you go back out for
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm gone for 4 months.
Yeah, so I just gotta find and fit in where I can, doing a lot of like DoorDash and
Yeah.
Uber Eats or Instacart, shit like that. A
Yeah.
lot of just like side gig type stuff.
Now I got to ask you, I can obviously, I've watched videos of you. I've seen interviews. I can tell by looking at you, you are a big guy. I am 6'4", 250 pounds myself. I'm a big guy too. I've watched plenty of those Bus Invaders episodes. Do you like the creature comforts or do you like being stuffed in those cots and being on the road? Is that something that you enjoy? Do you like that kind of like nomadic lifestyle or is it something you're kind of, hesitant about going on the road a lot? Or do you like it out there?
Honestly, I'm not too uncomfortable on like a bench of a van. I get like probably like barely just enough room for me to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But there's also like
rough.
these things that are like air mattresses that'll kind of like fill in the whole thing so you can get more room. I haven't yet to get one,
Yeah.
but I've seen those. But as far as like buses go, we did when we went to Europe recently, we did a bus share. And there was like 28 bunks on there. And when I sat in mine, I was just kind of like it was long enough for me easily. But the problem for me was the height. Like it was like maybe like this far away from my
Yeah, it would freak me out too.
Yeah, it was making me like real
coffin.
claustrophobic. So I don't know, like everybody knows on that tour that I was pretty much like never in that bunk just because it kept freaking me out. I'd like wake up and be like, "Oh my god, like what the fuck?"
Yeah. Now I just had Sonny on from Necrot, another great death metal band. I had him on last night, and I posed this question to him, and I'm interested to get your take on it. You see a lot of bands. We mentioned some of them, grindcore bands. Bands like the Napalm Death. Heavy bands like Anal Cunt, which is the fucking best band name ever. But where it seems like it's just a wall of white noise. Is there a point where music becomes so heavy, that it ceases to be enjoyable if it lacks like melody, or are you just kind of like, the hell with it? It can't be heavy enough. I mean, because you do get music sometimes that's criticized with like where it's just like a wall of noise, like sticking on a Portal album, where it just like seems like a lot of noise and you're searching for melody in there. And sometimes, maybe it's my ears as I've gotten older. I'm 51 years old now. I can only go so heavy where it literally starts to, sometimes it can become a little bit enjoyable. I don't know. Is that something you can relate to?
Personally, like, I fucking love grindcore.
Yeah,
like,
I do
so
too.
much.
I have a soft spot for Napalm. Love those guys.
Yeah, like I mean, but all of a sudden, even like, I mean, I fucking love gore grind too, and
Yeah.
that's basically like you're saying, like just like the whole wall of noise, kind of thing, and even like noise shit. I like listening to some noise shit sometimes. I think it's really just like a matter of taste. It's I don't know if it can get too heavy. I personally never found anything that was like too heavy where I was just like, man, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But I mean, I can find things that I enjoy in pretty much anything as long as it's like, pretty sick. Yeah, I mean, like, because there's like this band Sulfuric Cautery is like one of my fucking favorite bands, and that's just crazy fast as fucking Gravity Blast, and the riffs, like you can even like imagine how they're like writing it and stuff, and I love it. I like, you can barely even understand what's going on the record, but I fucking love listening to it.
I'm very intrigued by out of Australia. I just mentioned their name, Portal. Have you heard Portal?
I haven't heard Portal, but there's another band from there. I have a record from.
Yeah, I found out about Portal because I'm a huge Pantera fan as well. And Phil Anselmo really gets behind this band. He's always wearing Portal merchandise and shirts and stuff like that. And I've even reached out to try to see if I can find any of the members to have on the podcast. And they really come out in costumes, but they're able to maintain their anonymity where I can't find. And I'm pretty good about searching around and finding guests. I can't find a shred of anything on these guys. So they really just, I mean, all of them come out in executioner's masks, except the lead singer comes out dressed like some kind of a demon. At one point, he was wearing like an old Victorian, like one of those, like, I don't know if it was a clock or like a confessional booth on his head. Crazy. But they're all playing like guitars with a shit ton of strings, and I'm not a musician, but it certainly looks like a hell of a lot more than 6.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that sounds fucking
And it's
sick.
a wall of noise. Yeah. So, I implore you to check them out. They're from Australia, and I can't find a shred of anything except these pseudo names that they go under. So they really do protect their anonymity extremely well. Because you see these guys who wear masks and shit, but the secret gets out eventually. Everybody knows what everybody in Slipknot looks like, and a
Yeah,
lot of these
right,
other
right.
mask bands. It all pops out eventually. You know what I mean? Like, especially in this age of social media. Nope, not these portal guys. Can't find a fucking thing about any of them.
Damn, I mean, props to them for that. I mean, that's fucking
Yeah.
hard to do.
Huge props. Yeah. So what's the plan when this album comes out? Is it just more touring? Do you have stuff planned? Like, what's the agenda look like?
Yeah, we're gonna try to get a headliner done pretty much pretty soon. We got our Europe tour coming up, and then as far as 2025 goes, nothing like so far is set in stone, but we have some pretty cool shit potentially in the works.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I got to ask, like, I got to backtrack to the upbringing. When you're growing up, did you feel like, because I'm always curious about the connection. You mentioned around the age that you did get into extreme music, but what's like the impetus for it? Yeah, because obviously, like a lot of the music is tempered in like horror or violence or stuff of that nature. Like growing up, like were you into all that stuff? Like you were a big horror movie buff, big, like I mean like me, like I think I like the music because I love horror movies and I get off on kind of like, like learning about like serial killers. I don't know, maybe I'm fucking touched in the head. I don't know. That's just stuff kind of intrigues me though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I wouldn't say I'm like a horror movie buff, but I've always loved horror movies, been intrigued
Yeah.
by them. Just the macabre aspect of it. And my dad pretty much I always tell him, I was like, you wonder why I'm in fucking like playing all this heavy shit. It's because like, growing up, all he'd have on the TV 24/7 is Forensic Files
Yeah.
and all the fucking true crime TV, like pretty much court TV was on
Yeah.
constantly, and I'd be like falling asleep as a kid, like hearing about people breaking into houses, like murdering people.
I
And
get what you're saying. And that guy from Forensic Files had the creepiest voice
oh
too.
my god, and
When you're falling asleep and that's seeping into your ears at night, yeah, you're gonna be a little touched in the head.
yeah, that the little chords, like the creepy fucking
Yeah, I
they're
get
throwing in
exactly
there.
what you're saying. Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, like there's all that, and then dude, Halloween has always been my favorite holiday as well. So
yeah,
I remember always wanting, like, at school they like do the Halloween stuff. You can come in with a costume, and I always wanted to do like the scariest fucking thing I could find at the costume store. I was never allowed to do that,
of
but
course.
I'd always
Yeah,
have like one costume that I could wear at school, and then another one that I could like go around for trick or treat and stuff. And I
yeah,
loved all the masks, man. Like looking back, like I remember, I don't know if Spencer's does it anymore, but they used to have like a ton of Halloween masks, and I always just wanted to like buy every single one.
yeah. I feel like Spencer's has become a bit of a letdown. At least the
Yeah,
one in my mall here. I don't think I see that stuff anymore like I used to. I know what you're talking about. Old school Spencer's was the shit.
yeah, dude. I remember being like enjoying like when Halloween came around, going in there and they had all the coolest shit, like fucking Chucky dolls and all that
Yeah,
shit. And yeah, they just don't do it anymore. I mean, the best thing you can get out of fucking Spencer's now is like a fucking beer bong.
yeah.
You
It's
know?
all t-shirts in the front and like sex toys and fucking lava lamps and shit in the back. That's really all you can
Exactly.
get. And so now, obviously, we've been talking about 200 stab wounds a lot. I want to put some shine on your other band. And forgive me for not knowing if it's still currently going, but Combat, you still doing that?
We're very loosely doing it. Right now we have two shows coming up later this month actually with the bass player for Vomit Forth's other band Chasm. And we're doing like San Antonio and Dallas, and that's gonna be really cool because we haven't played a show in forever. Partly because like I'm doing the stab wound stuff, but the other guitar player AJ, he plays in Creeping Death, and our drummer C's, he plays drums in Tribal Gaze. So we're all three busy like doing shit all the time. So that's part of the reason why we haven't really been doing anything.
Yeah.
But we're trying to do like we're getting show offers here and there, and if we're all able to be in town at the same time, then we'll do it. But as far as like new music goes, it's like that's probably something that's like far away from happening just because getting together to do like to even play a show is hard enough, and it takes a lot of you know collaboration and a lot of work to get like a quality like album out, because we don't want to like put a pile of shit out, so.
Right. And being as if the music business has changed so much now, and album sales are not, I'm 51 years old, so I remember like when you went out and you actually bought physical albums and there was no streaming and any of this bullshit and stealing music and everything, but being as if the music world has changed so much, it seems like people are putting out a lot of singles, a lot of EPs, there's certainly no shortage of bands out there. So it seems like there's this urgency to keep your name out there and keep your name like relevant. Do you guys put that kind of pressure, man? Like obviously you've got an album coming out in June, but do you already start to think about a timetable, like, okay, our next project, we want to shoot for this or that, or do you just kind of play it by ear?
Oh, dude, no, we're like, ever since I joined the band, I've been sending Steve stuff like pretty frequently. I know him and I are going to get together because we have a 2.5 month break between now and the next thing that we're doing. So in between there, we're going to try to get together and write a lot of the album. So that way it's not as big of a wait between albums, like, because we really want to like get shit done and just keep putting out like good stuff, not for necessarily the urgency of like staying relevant, but just because it's what we love doing at the end of the day.
Now let me pose a comparison question. Cannibal Corpse, better with Barnes or Corpse Grinder?
Man, I don't even know if there is like a better version, just because they're so different and they're so good for what they are, you know what I mean? Like the Corpse Grinder stuff speaks for itself, and the Barnes stuff speaks for itself. And I even like really early like 6 Feet Under stuff when they had like Alan West and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's a hard one, because even when with Corpse Grinder you get also the Pat O'Brien era, and Pat O'Brien is just like a fucking monster on guitar. Dude. So that's really a hard one.
Although I love that they have Eric Rattan. I love that they have Eric Rattan in the band though now.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that's amazing. Yeah,
I mean, how could you go wrong?
I know.
And, like, he has had those parts with helped with a couple albums and stuff. So he's always been there too, like in the kind of the background. So it makes sense for him joining too. But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, I don't know. I don't think I could pick one.
Yeah. It's easy. Hey, you got to stay diplomatic. You never know when you're going to cross paths with these guys. Good answer. Stay democratic. Stay democratic, right? I mean, to an extent,
Right.
Non-committal. So where are you right now, currently in the world right now? You're, where's home for you? Texas?
Yeah, still Dallas. Well, north of Dallas. I live in technically Denton, Texas is where I live.
Hotter than hell right now? Hotter than hell always there, right?
Luckily, it's been raining like hell the last couple of days, so it's not too brutal. But like once this humidity, or once the clouds part ways, it's gonna be hotter than fuck. There's one day already, because I've only been home since Monday, but yesterday was pretty brutal. It wasn't too bad, but it's not even close to how bad as it's gonna get though. So
what's brutal in your eyes, man? Being a Texas guy, like what's brutal to you?
105.
Holy shit, Jesus Christ! I'm in upstate New York. I don't think we see 105 anymore. Yeah. We might see 105 below, but I mean, we're certainly not going to see 105. It gets cold here, man, and we get some pretty long, brutal winters. Although I gotta say, man, I didn't always believe in climate change, man, but lately our winters have gotten very mild from what I remember as a kid.
Yeah, no,
very little snow.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Like, because my family is from upstate New York. My mom and my dad were both born in upstate New York, and going visiting there in the winter for like Christmas and Thanksgiving, like when I was a kid, I remember there'd be like snow all the time. And
all the
lately
time.
when I've gone, it'd be like the last couple of years I've gone, it's been like barely, like if it snowed, it didn't stick, so that's pretty weird.
Yeah, we get a lot of that up here, man. So the album you said comes out June what?
28th.
June 28th. And in the 200 Stab Wounds camp, is there like an excitement, man? Like, what's the reaction, man? Like, is there a nervousness? Like when a new album, obviously we talked a little while ago about, people being hypercritical online and everything. Is there a nervousness? Is there an excitement? Is it kind of an amalgamation of all those emotions?
Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit of a mixture of everything. I think we're really more excited for it because, like, at the end of the day, like, I think the album's really good, and there's a lot of stuff in there that hasn't been done in the other albums. I think the nervousness aspect comes just from like the fact that it's like new stuff that's going to be put out, and you're just like, I mean, like you said, you never know what people are going to react to, and changes and shit. Even sometimes you think they're not changes, people are going to take them as changes. So, yeah, I
Now, do you
mean,
take any of it to
overall,
heart yourself? Like when you read like a bad comment on YouTube, do you take any of that to heart? Does anybody in the band take it to heart, or do you just kind of got to like be able to kind of like so I can decompartmentalize it and move on?
nah, we all kind of just like read something, we laugh about it, like, what the hell? What is
Yeah.
he talking about? You know what I mean? It's just like, because, for the most part, it's always like a overall a positive feedback, and not everything is going to be, not everybody's going to love everything. So
Right.
of course there's going to be someone that's going to be like, oh dude, these guys fucking suck, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, whatever, dude, good for you, go
I
fuck
think sometimes
yourself.
though, if people are stopping what they have to do in the course of their day though, man, to write some diatribe on there, man, that means that you're pretty much on their mind.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
You
we did
know?
something right. We pissed someone off
Yeah.
enough for them to like make a comment about it.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, man, I love what you guys do, man. And I wish you continued success. I hope there's an upstate New York fucking tour stop in there somewhere, man. It'd be nice to see you guys here, man. But super happy for you guys, man. And I'm glad you came on and we got a chance to meet and do this, man. I hope you'll stay in touch. I'd love to have you on again, man.
Dude, absolutely. I'd love to
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah, I've inserted myself into your life now, Ray McDonald. There's nothing you can fucking do about it now.
Hey, man, I love it. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was been a great talking to you, man. And safe travels out there, man. Best of luck with the album and the tour, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing this, man. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
All right, talk to you later, Ray. Thank you so much,
fuck
man.
yeah, dude. Later.
Later, brother. There he goes, folks. That is Raymond MacDonald, guitar player for one of, if not the hottest death metal bands out there right now. You don't hear that really said a lot. Hottest death metal band. I don't even know if that was a conundrum or why I even said that. But I mean, hey, death metal is hot with people that have sensibility, like myself. And the metal community is top notch, above every other genre. And I'll say that having experienced all the multitudes of genres and gone to many different concerts, the metal world always embracing. Although I did talk a little bit to him about the the uber metal snobs out there who always have to chastise and run things down. Any little tweak or any little change. But listen, I don't know. There's 2 new tracks from the upcoming album, Manual Manic Procedures, that will be coming out, as Raymond said, in June. And there's 2 tracks out there right now. Let me get my old man grandfather glasses on here. Hands of Eternity and Ride the Flatline are both out there right now on your streaming platforms. I don't notice any deviation from what 200 Stab Wounds did on their first album, which I believe, you got to remember, this is a 51-year-old mind that has smoked a lot of pot. Slave to the Scalpel, I believe, was what it was called, though. I'm not always great with titles and everything. I just know what I have in my library and what kicks ass. But I don't hear a big departure from what those guys did. So metal snobs out there, come on, man. Get a fucking life, man. These guys are still out there fucking melting faces and crushing fucking skulls. 200 Stab Wounds, man, is flying the flag, man. Death metal is in good fucking hands, man. Thank fucking God. Thank fucking God for the boys in 200 Stab Wounds. Keep doing you, guys, because people out there love it, man. And the ones that don't, right there, huh? How do you like that? Anyway, thank you so much, Raymond MacDonald, Shredder for 200 Stab Wounds, man. Be sure to check out the new album, Manual Manic Procedures, coming out at the end of June, man. Go check out the 2 tracks that are out there right now, man, and you will not be disappointed, man. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Make sure to stay tapped in, man, right here for Pod Scum and for Off the Couch Boxing. 2 phenomenal podcasts, but of course I'm a little biased because I am a host and co-host of both of them. But anyway, guys, thanks to Raymond MacDonald. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. And remember, kids, take it easy and keep it sleazy.